All right, we'll go ahead and get started with our availability here at Richmond International Raceway a little bit early, starting on Thursday, and we'll start off with Denny Hamlin, who will be host of the Denny Hamlin Short Track Showdown here tonight at Richmond, where he'll drive his number 11 FedEx Express Denny Hamlin Foundation Toyota ahead of Saturday's Cup race, where he'll be in the FedEx Freight Toyota. Denny coming home with a little bit of momentum after winning at Kansas, the second win of the year. Now 5th in points. Also have to throw in a little nationwide action here that you'll defending winner of that race, and we'll run in that as well. So real busy weekend for you, but a lot of momentum coming home.
Yeah, we're definitely excited about it. Excited as long as the weather stays dry for us tonight. We're looking forward to it, and obviously got a great field of cars and obviously NASCAR stars that are going to be participating for tonight, and just excited to get going. It's been a task to get all of it put together and everything from all the people that's been involved. So we always look forward to the day after this race, and once it's all over. But we just have a lot of fun this weekend. Obviously running 3 races, we have a really good shot of getting 3 wins.
All right, if you have questions for Denny, let us know. We've got wireless mics for you from Greg and Ashley. Raise your hand, name and affiliation first. We'll start with Joe.
Hey, Denny, Joe Menzer, NASCAR.com. But could you just talk about what your reaction to the Bristol, what you know about that, the Bristol repaving, and sort of just comment in general on the kind of rash of repavings that seem to be going on right now, what that means for you as a driver?
Well, as far as I know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they're just going to grind the top. Is that what they're going to do? I don't know a whole lot about it because I wasn't in construction but for a little bit of time when I was younger, but there's rebar in there, so you can't grind but so much. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be much different, to be honest with you, than what we had. If anything, maybe the grinding will cause for grip and people are going to run up high anyway, so who knows what's going to happen. You want to fix it and make it a tough track, you need to pave it. Concrete is not the answer as far as that's concerned, but they're in a box. They have to, they're trying to do everything they can. I understand that because the fans want to change. So, you commend them for trying, but I think that they're time limited on what adjustments they can really make to that track. As far as repavings, none of us drivers like to see it. I talked from a couple guys who ran the Pocono test, and they weren't overly excited about it after running it. So it's one of those things. The tracks, they have to do it, or else we're going to have a 4-hour delay in the middle of it because we have a pothole in the middle of the track. So it's just a tough box that our cars are running so fast that they have to limit our speed with the tires, and so that's what makes it tough to race on.
Go back to Yanni and then to David Newton, please, and then Bob Pockers.
Denny, can you talk about last year winning the short track showdown and the nationwide before the Cup race, whereas this year you won the actual Cup race last week in Kansas? Compare and contrast the different kinds of momentum those two lend.
It's about the same. I mean, it's a little bit more momentum. You have definitely a lot of congratulations going into a weekend where you expect to get it after the races are over. But for me, I think that it's a great opportunity for us to start some momentum. We've got some really good tracks coming up for us these next month or so that I feel we have ample opportunities to win multiple races. So we feel like that Richmond's always been a good track for us no matter what. We're looking more towards in the future the Charlottes and Darlingtons as tracks where we could pick up wins as well. So it's good to have the momentum going in here, but you're only as good as your last race. So if we don't win tonight, then that momentum from last week is over with, and it's time to move on.
David Newton, ESPN.com. I got 2 questions for you. One, what's it like when you are having success and then a teammate like Kyle is not? I mean, a guy that expects to win. I mean, are you guys sharing more now, talking more now, or is it frustrating to him? And you've probably gone through the same thing. And the other question is on Pastrana. Kind of what are you expecting out of him in the nationwide race? Have you seen his mullet? Are you jealous of his yellow bus or what?
Yeah, you really, that's the first thing that all of us drivers see is when we pull in the motorhome lot. You're like, what in the world is that thing right in the middle of it? And so his bus is, it's bright. You can definitely see that. But he's going to be a welcome sight to the Nationwide Series. I think he's kind of a breath of fresh air type of guy that he's outgoing. He's obviously not afraid to take chances, and I know personally through talking to him, he's been waiting to run for a long time, and just he's been fighting to get those, his leg good enough to where he could do it. So, excited to have him, part of all the racing going on this weekend, and I think this is going to be great for us. I think, whether it's going to be the big media buzz that Danica brought to the sport, I doubt, but I think that it's overall, good for our sport to have someone like him in it. The teammate thing, it's, really up until last week, we all ran about the same. If you look at our, statistics from week to week, we won the race in Phoenix, but me and Kyle have been running pretty close to each other for most part of the year. And, really, we have been running a touch better, I guess, the last 2 or 3 races, but, they're struggling to find what they need. The good news for them is that, they know that our cars are capable of running pretty well, so they'll figure it out. I talked to really his crew chief as much or if not more than I've talked to Kyle himself. So, they get as much information when we talk about our debriefs and everything, and we feel like we're in a good enough spot now that they're taking a lot of what we say and applying it to their cars. So they're going to get better here pretty soon, this weekend probably.
Bob Harper, Sporting News. Talladega next week. I know the plate's the same. I'm not sure on the pop-off valve and everything, but do you expect the rules to have the same effect that they had at Daytona, or will there be a different impact of the rules at Talladega?
We hope so. I think that we hope it has the same effect. I think that the pack racing that we had at Daytona was amazing. I thought it was great racing. The 2-car tandem didn't win the race. That's a good thing. Really, it was they got us to where we were running a fast enough speed that handling became somewhat of an issue. So all those things I think will equal good racing at Talladega if they keep everything the way that it was.
Denny, can you talk about how special it is to have your cousin here, the impetus for the entire foundation and the entire night tonight, and just about what kind of inspiration he gives you for going through what he's been through?
Yeah, I mean, you don't realize it, and even as a kid, I always knew he had cystic fibrosis, but I didn't know what there was to it. I was too young to really know until, waking up at his house one morning and you see with a bowl of cereal, he's taking all kinds of these antibiotics, and you're like, what in the world is all that stuff? So it affects people with cystic fibrosis every day. Whether you're healthy or not, it affects you. And when you have a successful lung transplant like he's had, there's always fears of rejection, and you still got to go through all the taking of the pills and everything. So it affects you, and everyone knows with that disease that they're so close to a cure that hopefully any money that we raise this weekend will help the research. I know that we contributed $150,000 over these next 3 years to the VCU research lab of the cystic fibrosis. So it's every little bit of money helps, and obviously it's the people that turn out and watch us on TV and things like that today that's going to help get us closer to a cure, because they are so close.
Kevin, go ahead and raise your hand up so we can see you. And when we're done with our availabilities, maybe you can come up and sit with Denny for a couple photos if you wouldn't mind, if that'd be okay. All right, we'll go back here in the back, and then we'll go over to Hank Kurse, and then we'll go to Doug Demmons.
Ken Childs, RaceWrap.com. Denny, you won this race last year, but how different is running a late model here compared to running any other car here? And have you had any time to shake down the cars? It's going to be your first time getting into it this week here.
Yeah, we got to run a little bit last week. We weren't as blazing fast as what I thought we could be or would be. But really, that's the exciting part of it. It's going to be hard. People think Cup drivers are going to just go into a late model race and dominate. It's just not like that now. We would be, in my opinion, more likely to go into a Truck Series race and win as we would a late model race at any local short track. Just simply because those guys that run those tracks every single week and get tuned in, even though they don't run they're running these cars, it's hard to compete with these guys. And so for us, when we have a chance to do it, it's a lot of fun. And I know that just talking through Kyle and Joey and Jeff and those guys and Eric, they're excited about the challenge, because it is a challenge. It's not a cakewalk coming in here and being competitive.
Lynn with Doug.
Denny, you talked about Hank Kurz with AP. You talked about your favorite day being the day after the race. How much the last few weeks have you had to add to your plate to kind of get ready for this, and how much more more responsibility have you had leading up to this?
It's a lot. I mean, really, I lean on everyone from the foundation to the management team to help as much as possible. They do as much as they can to kind of shield me from the day-to-day operations of it, because it is a headache at times. But when we have a successful event like we've had these first 4 years, that's what kind of makes it worthwhile for us to keep bringing it back and keep giving all these late model guys opportunities to be a part of it. So as long as we continue to put people in the stands and race cars on the racetrack, we're going to keep doing it, because obviously we see the difference it's making just here right in the local area itself.
Hey, Denny, this is at Talladega next week. Since we now have the kind of a hybrid thing with the two-car tandem and the pack racing back, how much time do you think you'll spend in the tandem, and have you decided yet who you're going to run with?
No, well, I haven't had a drafting partner for about a year now, so I just kind of running the pack, and then it worked out well for us at Daytona. We kind of did our own thing, and obviously had a great shot to win. So I think if the rules stay the same, it'll be a pack mostly, because the temperatures were just so high at Daytona. So I think that you really won't have a partner until the very end, when you try to link up on the last restart or something like that, like we tried to do at Daytona.
Denny, thanks. Kev, come on up and give everybody an opportunity for a couple pictures, and then we'll go to Kyle.